TCR Eastern Europe, we are ready for the first race of round 3 here at the Slovakia ring, the 5.9-kilometer track, which is ready to host the third round of the season, this incredible 2024 season. And what better way for the home Slovakian fans than having one of their own on pole position is the reigning champion Macho Homola starting from pole position. In fact, the Yannick Motorsport driver has led a team 1-2 in qualifying, with Adam Coate starting in second place. Of course, Homola, the current championship leader, but with only 5 points over Attila Bucci, the Hyundai driver, starting from 4th place today, right behind Martin Kadrecik in 3rd position. It's going to be a very exciting race. It's going to be definitely interesting to see how the drivers will fare with the hot weather. Of course, Macho Homola is the great favorite ahead of this race, but watch out for many people, including Giacomo Germandi, starting from 5th place. It's going to be extremely interesting. This third round of the season is ready to get underway. We're now getting asked to leave the grid. We're going to go to the commentary box, and we're getting ready for the third round of the TCR Eastern Europe.
Hogyha elvetetek.
And we are now back in our commentary booth, ready to watch the action unfold live here from the Slovakia ring. The TCR Eastern Europe guys now taking the grid. Of course, we will have an amazing rolling start here with the pole sitter Macho Homola, ready to further increase his championship lead over his rivals. He had a 2-point advantage over Attila Bucci coming here at the Slovakia ring, and then the 3 additional points for pole position gave him a 5-point lead and advantage over the Hungarian, who is starting from 4th position, has struggled to get to grips with this circuit, something that Homola has never done. He was lightning quick here last year on his way to the title. A double victory for him. 2 of the 3 race wins of the season, in fact, came here at the Slovakia ring for him, for the driver who raced in the World Touring Cup Car Championship in 2018. Of course, has international experience, of course, in TCR Europe as well, and is the reigning champion of TCR Eastern Europe, leading a Yannick Motorsport 1-2 ahead of his teammate Adam Coate, starting in 2nd. He has been in 2nd position for the entire, basically the entire season, with 3 second places out of 4 races, and so he will definitely be looking to go one better today, overtake Macho Homola, and get that elusive victory that seems to be almost unreachable as of right now. But the drivers are now getting ready for the standing start, with Macho Homola taking his place on the left-hand side of the track. Adam Coate starting right beside him as we are ready to get underway with the 15 cars now on the starting grid. It's Homola on the left, Coate on the right. Behind them it's Kadlecic and Bucci. As the lights turn red and it's light side, and away we go. There's definitely a jump start there with Kadlecic, who was unable to start on the other hand, with the Additis Racing driver only now getting away, and it is definitely a jump start for one of the Audis, who is now in front. But for the effective lead of the race, it's the 2 Yannick Motorsport cars, with Adam Coate being able to almost attack Macho Homola towards turn number 1. Here we go, coming towards turns number 2 and 3 it's Ivars Valers, the one who has jump started the race and who will most definitely get a penalty because of that. Whereas here is Martin Kadlecic trying to get back the time he's lost, and here is Macho Homola and Adam Coate trying to make some ground up, and especially then Giacomo Germandi in his bright white and pink car trying to make the move stick on Valers, who had to take it to the escape road, to the grass. Whereas now here we see Attila Bucci fighting back on Giacomo Germandi, claiming what looks to be 4th place, and actually is 3rd now that they have dispatched the Audi of Valers. So it's a Yannick Motorsport 1-2 with Macho Homola in front of Adam Coate. Behind them it's Attila Bucci, who is up to 3rd place ahead of Giacomo Germandi and René Kircher of Germany for Meta Motorsport, the vice champion and runner-up from last season. And here you can see Kircher putting Giacomo Germandi under pressure. Whereas here the 2 Yannick Motorsport cars, the 2 Hyundais, starting to make a little bit of a gap over Attila Bucci, who however looks to be extremely competitive in his first half of the race, as he was in both Balaton and the Red Bull Ring. Of course, Bucci being in his first ever season in the TCR Eastern Europe. And here you can see lovely drone, whereas there's a spin for Giacomo Germandi, who is already out of the car, and that looks to be smoke quite a lot of it actually, coming out of the rear end of his Honda, the new model from the Japanese maker, the FL5. Not working as it should, unfortunately, for Giacomo Germandi, who's already out of the race after only a single lap. Whereas we have Macho Homola and Adam Coate keeping first and second position, just in front of Attila Bucci. Here you can see Giacomo Germandi looking at the rear end of his car to try and understand what went wrong. But really looks to be a mechanical failure of some sort for the Italian. Such a shame for Giacomo Germandi, who was very quick in practice. He was 5th. And of course, one of the protagonists of this season so far, sitting in 4th position in the driver standings, always in the top 6. 4th in Balaton in race 1 as his best result. Unfortunately, he doesn't look like he can continue racing today, which is a real shame for him. He will have to wait until tomorrow, of course, if his car gives him the chance to fight once more against his TCR Eastern Europe colleagues. And now the top 3 of the championship is in the top 3 positions of this race as well, with Macho Homola, Adam Coate and Attila Bucci, who are definitely the 3 drivers to look out for in the title race. Homola being the clear favorite, not only because he's in first place as of right now in both the race and in the championship, but because of his huge experience in the TCR world. He's the reigning champion. He raced in WTCC exactly 6 years ago, and then of course raced in TCR Europe between 2020 and 2022. Of course, we shall not underestimate, however, both Adam Coate and Attila Bucci, especially the latter, who has come out guns blazing this year with a win in race 2 in both Balaton and Red Bull Ring, showing amazing skill, and perhaps in an unexpected way has put himself in the conversation for the driver's title. Something that Adam Coate knows pretty well how to do. Of course, finishing last year in 3rd position with a win and 2 podiums. He's been in the motorsport world for quite a long time now, Adam Coate, trying to win that elusive title in TCR Eastern Europe. "90 minutes and 41 seconds to go." You can see how easy it is for the top 3 drivers to navigate the middle part of the track. They just are so similar in pace as of right now. Of course, Homola being a couple of tenths quicker in the previous lap to set the fastest lap of the race, but so far the 3 of them look to be evenly matched throughout the start of the race. A little bit of gravel picked up by some of the drivers, and here you can see Martin Kadlecik trying to make up the lost ground. He had pretty big issue at the start, possibly stalling on the grid and taking several seconds to then pull away from his grid slot, which was on the second row of the grid, which is definitely a shame for him because he looked to be extremely competitive, especially at the Balaton Park circuit when the series raced together with TCR European Endurance, both Kadlecik and Attila Bucci being also part of that series in round 1 in Balaton. And Kadlecik was able to finish in 2nd in race 2 here in TCR Eastern Europe, so definitely proving just how quick he can be. The 2023 TCC Clio Cup Trophy winner, as he now grabs the inside towards the final corner over what looked to be one of the Cupra cars. And it looked to be Petr Cizek. In fact, it is, as Kadlecik now tries to make the move stick for 9th position. And he looks to be able to do so as Cizek is forced to lift off the throttle and stop him behind his rival. You can see the fight between Valles and David Kajaya as well, the latter holding 7th position. Kajaya, of course, part of the Mercer Motorsport team that has 3 drivers out here today. René Kircher being the team leader, currently in 4th position, the runner-up from last year, who is, I have to say, slightly struggling at the start of this year. Only 1 podium finish in the first 4 races. It was race 1 in Balaton and a DNF in race 2 last time out at the Red Bull Ring. Whereas the other Mercer Motorsport driver is the first woman to ever compete in the TCR Eastern Europe, is Jordan Dolichka, currently holding 11th position, but most importantly 4th place in the junior standings. Standings that are currently led by Attila Bucci, with Zbojinec in 2nd position, the latter currently in 5th place overall, as we now see the fight between Kadlecic and Valers, with the latter giving way to his rival a couple of corners ago. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, it's a 1.2 second gap between the 2 Yannick Motorsport cars of Macho Homola and Adam Cote. The latter still trying to gain quite a bit of time over Homola to try and fight for that P1, but the reigning champion looks to be in total control as of right now as he starts. Lap number 4, he gains yet another 4 tenths over Adam Cote, the gap now growing to 1.6 seconds, whereas here we can see Martin Kadlecic with immense pace, must be said, because he is straight up the inside of Kajaya, the driver from Georgia, not able to withstand the power of the Audi RS3 car of Kadlecic. One of the 3 Audis present here today. The other one is, of course, a teammate for Martin Kadlecic, being Radim Adamek, currently in 12th position overall. And then Ivan Valers, the driver that we saw jump starting, unfortunately for him, this race, whereas here we can see quite a big lockup from Macho Homola into what looked to be turn number 7. The gap still healthy, sitting at 1.4, 1.5 seconds as of the last sector line. So far, Attila Bucci staying out of trouble and staying out of the fight for the lead. Holding down P3 though, which is a great result for him so far. Of course, first time for him at the Slovakia ring in the TCR Eastern Europe. Track that was opened in 2009 and pitches 14 corners, 7 to the left, 7 to the right, in what is a very unique track, especially here in Eastern Europe. You can see just how wide the track can be in certain points, most importantly the start-finish straight, but you could probably fit 5 to 6 cars, one alongside the other. Here you can see the Elantra, the most recent model of the Hyundai TCR line. Car that is also running in other series such as TCR Europe and the TCR World Tour. And let's not forget that TCR Eastern Europe is part of the TCR World Ranking, whereas here you can see Valers struggling out of the final corner. Of course, the TCR World Ranking summing the results of the drivers in the various competitions to gain a sort of points system out of it. Of course, the driver being classified throughout it, with Macho Homola as close as ever to the top 10 in the world, which just underlines just how quick the Slovakian driver really is. And Attila Bucci, in his first ever 4 rounds, has gained more than 700 places in the TCR World Ranking, which really speaks volumes to the talent of the Hungarian. Here you can see Martin Kadlecic, another very talented driver, part of the junior category, now up to 7th position, fighting the number 74 car of Zarko Knego. Knego, one of the most experienced drivers in the TCR Eastern Europe, finished in 15th last year, claiming a podium finish at the final race of the season in Brno, which was, of course, the highlight of the career in TCR Eastern Europe for the Croatian, who is a national hill climb champion, actually two-time Croatian hill climb champion, which just shows how talented he is. But now he has a tough cookie behind him in Martin Kadlecic, the Czech, finishing in second position in Balaton, his second race of the season. Let's not forget he is the TCC Clio Cup trophy champion from last year. Climbed the Eastern Europe motorsport ranks quite fast, competing in the Twingo Cup in 2022, and of course in the Clio Cup last year, winning the trophy reserved to the Gen 4 cars, which was definitely more popular than it is today. And here you can see a big lockup from Zarko Knego, which could open up the door for Kadlecic towards turn 1. It's Audi against Hyundai, with the Elantra ahead of the RS3 2021 car. Let's see if Kadlecic can build up a move towards turn 1. He doesn't. He stays clear of Zarko Knego. Holds on to 6th place as of right now. Meanwhile, in front, it's still Macho Homola with a 1.9 second gap over Adam Koht, the two teammates, keeping Attila Bucci at bay. The Hungarian and the other prime favorite for the title, together with the top two drivers from Yannick Motorsport, is still in 3rd place. 4 seconds behind Homola, however. Whereas there's then a big gap, 3.1 seconds from Bucci to René Kircher, the Mercer Motorsport driver, being of course the other popular driver from Germany. Here you can see yet another lockup from Zarko Knego. He's giving his everything, burning through his tires, lifting up some dirt as he tries to cut the corner as much as legally possible to gain some time over Kadlecic, who however is looking strong in this middle part of the race. Less than 10 minutes to go now, with Macho Homola, Adam Koht and Attila Bucci, the 3 title contenders currently fighting for the race lead. Of course, for Homola, this would be a phenomenal result, as we've seen one of the Mercer Motorsport cars slowing down exactly outside of turn 10, 11 and 12. And I think that could be René Kircher, but we'll have to see as the drivers cross the start-finish straight, as now Kadlecic is trying desperately to move up the inside of Zarko Knego. The move, unfortunately for him, not going through. And as they now get to the start-finish straight, it was in fact René Kircher who ran wide into turn number 10. So this is effectively the fight for 4th position, as now the number 14 car goes right around the outside. But unfortunately, no way through for Petr Cížek on David Kajaya. This is now the fight for 7th position. Now you can see the Cupra of Petr Cížek, the only Cupra present here for TCR Eastern Europe. Try to go around the outside into turn 3, a move that usually doesn't work in TCR cars. It's definitely more possible in lighter cars such as Formula 4 cars. But here you can see the other big fight going on in this race. It's Martin Kadlecic and Zarko Knego for 5th position, right behind Zbozinek, who however has now built a 12-second gap over the two of them, which is definitely what he wanted to secure what looks to be now a sure 4th position. Of course, still 7 minutes and 42 seconds to go. Still quite early. We still have some way to go, especially in the TCR world. Anything can happen up until the final corner of the final lap. We've seen it so many times, especially at Balaton as well, with safety cars, red flags, and everything that can happen in a race. We saw just how brilliantly Attila Bucci coped with that in race 2 at Balaton, before witnessing another masterclass from Macho Homola at the Red Bull Ring in race 1, despite pole position being backed by Attila Bucci. But here is Martin Kadlecic up the inside at the penultimate corner, maybe even simulating a sprint to the finish line, which in this case was won by Kadlecic by only 50 thousandths of a second. But of course, it is not over yet, as Knego goes right around the outside into turn 1. But fortunately for him, the move doesn't work, and therefore it's Martin Kadlecic who consolidates 5th position ahead of what could have been the 3rd to last lap of this race. We're into lap number 9. The drivers keep on pushing as of right now. Five minutes and 56 seconds to go. And you can see just how quick Kadlecic really is. He's already built a bit of a gap over Zarko Knego. But unfortunately for him, the next car, which is Jiris Bozinek, is 13 seconds up the road, which is definitely too much without a single mistake from Bozinek for Kadlecic to gain in the next 5 minutes and 25 seconds or so, which remain until the end of the race. It's been so far a lovely job from Macho Homola. And here you can see one of the Yannick Motorsport cars right in front of what is the number 8 car of René Kircher, who was running in 4th before dropping down to 12th after a mistake into turn 5. Perhaps even a car issue for the Honda driver racing with the old FK7 model. Of course, Honda producing a newer model, the FL5, which Giacomo Germandi is using, whereas we have quite a lot of smoke. And we see the number 68 car of Adam Coate going straight at the first turn, and perhaps a technical failure for him as he parks it outside of the tire barriers. What a shame for Adam Coate. It's him out of the race now, and Yannick Motorsport loses not only a lot of points, but of course the chance of a 1-2 on home soil. Ah, what a shame for Adam Coate. Now parking the car and in fact leaving the race from 2nd position. I told you, no one is safe in a TCR race until the final corner of the final lap. And unfortunately, Adam Coate learned it the hard way. Yeah, what a shame for the number 68 car. And here is Coate climbing out his Hyundai. Fortunately for him, not the race that he wanted, especially here on home soil for the Slovaks and his main rival, Macho Homola. But the Czech, unfortunately, looks to be out of the race. What a shame, really. It didn't look like he had the pace to fight Homola, especially in the first few laps. But of course, he was holding down to 2nd brilliantly. But fortunately, just slipped away from him right at the tail end of the race with less than 3 minutes to go now. And Macho Homola has been left all alone to push until the checkered flag, with Attila Bucci now promoted to 2nd position, which of course helps the Hungarian driver in his fight for the title. And this DNF
clearly sees Adam Cote drop in the standings. He was only 10 points behind Macho Homola after qualifying, but unfortunately he will lose if things stay like this. 25 points over his rival, which is definitely not what he wanted ahead of this race. Brilliant job by Macho Homola and Attila Bucci so far. And now this promotes Zbozinek to third position. Yiri has not fought with anyone throughout this race, but he's run his pace, kept his cool, and kept his car running. And now the junior driver is into third position overall. Zbozinek, who was racing with Yannick Motorsport and who is looking to step on the podium for what will be not only an important achievement for the number 11 car, but of course it would be his first podium of the season. Only 4 points for Zbozinek ahead of this round. They came with 2 9th places in a row at the Red Bull Ring, but the Elantra of Zbozinek now running into third position with a healthy advantage of 30 seconds over Martin Kadlecik, which is definitely what he wanted to see starting what would be the penultimate lap of the race. Macho Homola now, together with Attila Bucci, going towards the final 2 corners of the racetrack. And I gotta say that Bucci looks to have gained quite some time over Macho Homola in the past couple of laps. Bucci has gained 6/10 during the previous lap. Now crossing the line to start lap number 12, it's a 2:15.7 from Macho Homola and a 2:14.5 for Attila Bucci, who unfortunately I think has woken up a little bit too late, perhaps keeping his tires under control more than Homola to fight in the second half of the race, but he perhaps has waited too long as the clock strikes 0 now, and the last lap is officially announced by the stewards. Of course, it's not Bucci's fault, but rather Macho Homola's fantastic race so far. The gap still over 1.5 seconds, which is definitely the safe zone for Macho Homola, as Bucci is trying desperately to gain whatever time he needs to find, but the race is slipping away from his hands. It's a lovely comeback drive from Bucci in this final part. Well, now Homola needs to watch out because Bucci is right behind him. He gained almost a second in the first sector alone. He just has a superior traction out of the corners and he is much quicker through them. Definitely a sign of better tire life for the older Hyundai model, the i30, which is driven by Bucci right now. Well, let's see if anything changes then in the last 4 corners of the racetrack with Macho Homola definitely taking it easy throughout this final 2 to 3 laps, giving Bucci the option to come back into the race, but of course the gap was so big that Homola was able to lift off the throttle and still come away victorious if he can navigate the last 2 corners nicely, and he looks to have done just that as Macho Homola runs out the final corner of the race to take a win on home soil here at the Slovakia ring. It's a phenomenal job from Macho Homola, who extends his championship lead over Attila Bucci, the two of them now being the clear title favorites for this year, as third position goes to the number 11 car of Yiri Zbozinek, with Yannick Motorsport putting 2 cars on a podium in first and third place. But what a shame once again for Adam Cote, the other Yannick driver, dropping outside of the top 10 after having to retire with just 5 minutes left on the clock from second position. But what a race for Macho Homola. He takes the win after pole position, maximizes the result today on Saturday. Just phenomenal from Macho Homola, really. But what a drive for Attila Bucci as well. He was calm, he was collected, he knew what to do and when to do it, and he gained an advantage from Adam Coates' retirement, but was still on the podium regardless, and is now up to second. And what a story for Jiric Božinek, the Czech driver, finishing on the podium for the first time this year after only getting 4 points after the first 2 rounds. Absolutely fantastic job from Božinek to finish third. And what a recovery drive for Martin Kadlecic, who finishes fourth after stalling on the grid. He was starting in third, dropped all the way down to 15th position before putting on a show, move after move. He climbed up back to 4th place, just missing out on a podium, but a great job nonetheless for the junior driver who finishes on the podium in the category. And here are the highlights of this opening race of TCR Eastern Europe. You can see Kadlecic's car in the background, fortunately losing time at the start with the 2 Yannick Motorsport drivers of Cote and Homola in second and first. And here you can see the first retirement of many in this race. It's Giacomo Germandi, who had a clear mechanical failure to the rear end of his car. Whereas here you can see an off by Ivan Valers. Lovely recovery drive from Martin Kadlecic, who was able to recover up to 5th place overall. And this is perhaps one of the most crucial moments of the season. Championship contender Adam Coate out of the race with just 5 minutes to go from second position, leaving Attila Bucci the chance to close up to Macho Homola. Unfortunately for Bucci, though, there was no time for an overtake, which meant that Macho Homola was the winner of race 1 here in TCR Eastern Europe. The action of the championship will be back on Sunday, with the TCR Eastern Europe back for yet another race tomorrow.